Okay, I think we can get started now. So hello, everyone. My name is Rachel O'Neill. I am a pre-sale solution engineer with Valiantys. What that means is I typically run all the technical and scoping conversations for an engagement cycle. I work with our account executives and our business development managers and the client to find the path forward utilizing Atlassian tools. I give live demonstrations on any Atlassian tool that you'd like to see, and then walk through the engagement that we're looking for, collecting requirements, writing a statement of work, and then walking you through an offer presentation. I'm an Atlassian certified expert with certifications in Jira software as well as Jira Service Management. And it's great to have you here today for our ITSM webinar. We give live content and live webinars almost every month. And if you'd like more information, please go to valiantys.com and we'll put a link in here as well to get to our YouTube channel to see previous webinars as well. So what we're going to do today is talk about JSM from the perspective of service management and service requests, incidents, as well as some automation and some asset management as well. In terms of JSM, in terms of these webinars, if you have any questions, again, please just put a question in the Q&A area. We'll have about 5 minutes at the end for answering those as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to get started. And it looks like everyone can see my screen, so let's start. So service management has been around in one form or another for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The oldest language that was written that we know of is Sumerian, and that was discovered, they started to write around 3100 BCE. I'm pretty sure that if we were to read through all of those initial transcripts, we'd probably find a couple of sentences where somebody said, the baker around the corner was terrible, they sold me stale bread and I want my money back. In that case, where was the opportunity for service management then? Really not a lot. From our very beginnings as human beings on the planet, we had stone to carve in, and then we moved to papyrus, all the way to paper, to the tools that we use now being laptops. And now we just really need to use a mouse and one finger. And we can do quite a few different things when it comes to serving populations of clients, customers, and internal users as well. So the tools that we've had to remedy issues and to empower our individual users and our buyers and our clients who are great enough to give us their business has expanded greatly. And I've been in IT for about 25 years, and I've seen so many different applications come and go. Atlassian is obviously my favorite, which is why I'm here. One thing to note also about Valiantys is we are 100% Atlassian dedicated. So if you have any need for any engagement services, professional services, custom development, training, my cloud migrations to JSM implementations, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We'll be happy to sit down with you and talk about your use cases. So from in the tooling purposes, we've had quite a few different examples of things that we could use. Again, from paper and now to these powerful internet tools and SaaS tools. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so we're going to start with the help desk from the user perspective, because what are we doing here? We're here to try to get our users information as quickly as possible. We're here to resolve our users' questions, comments, and any issues they're having as quickly as possible too. To do that, JSM employs a really powerful portal or help desk. And if you have any questions about lingo that I might use, again, please feel free to put that in the Q&A. We'll be sure to answer those at the end. The Help Center and the greater Help Center from the JSM perspective is we want things to be easy to see, easy to find, and easy to convey information. And one of the really nice features that has been released in the last few months are the concept of help centers, different and variable help centers based on the groups that you need to contact and who need to contact you. In this case, what we're looking at here is a large banner at the top back here. And one thing to note is it's really easy to navigate around the portal within JSM. If I'm in a particular project, all I have to do is click on that top left button here. There can be an icon, it can also be a URL. A couple of different things can happen in the top left here. It can get me right back to where I need to be. From the user perspective, typically they're going to come to a help center because they have a problem with something or something isn't working, et cetera, or I need something more than I already have. So what we do for JSM is we put something called the knowledge base and a help search function here at the very top for them to find what they need. A knowledge base within JSM works in a number of different ways, but from the user perspective, they're just looking for help for their problem. So for an example, I'm going to go ahead and type in help here. And one thing to note is for knowledge-based articles, these are what we call confluence pages. Anything that you do in a confluence page, you can do in a knowledge-based article. So here I put in the word help, and we can see a list of articles come up here. And I can also filter by the different portals that I have access to. Again, trying to make this as easy for the user as possible to find the information they're looking for. Knowledge-based articles are found based on words in the title, words in the actual narrative itself, and then any labels that are attributed to these particular articles. And all of these can be created, deleted, and edited right within the UI of JSM as well, making it easy for maintenance purposes from your staff going forward as well. One thing to note about knowledge-based articles is it can help you do a lot of things for your users. It can help disseminate more information about a particular request type that you might be looking for or that you have to fill out. Let's say a request type has quite a few different complex fields on it. That's one way to do that. You can also have a knowledge-based article to help deflect incoming requests. For example, self-service. So let's say I had a password reset that I need to do. We don't really want our users to be putting in tickets for that because they have options to do that themselves. So in that case, we would just have a knowledge-based article for a password reset, giving them all the different steps to be able to resolve that issue. So in this particular article, we can see that there are a number of different kinds of ways to show text, tables, split columns, information boxes. We can also have URLs such as this one and graphics, all kinds of things that can send our user to the right place to get the right information. So again, two really powerful uses for the knowledge base is to help walk through a request type, especially a complex one, and then to help deflect tickets for self-service options whenever possible. Okay, scrolling down also, I just wanted to show that we can have all kinds of things now within this portal. It used to be just the portal tabs or tiles that we would call it. These are portal tiles here. Now we can have different pieces sending our users to other areas of our business, letting them know about new marketing collateral if need be, letting them know about new features for a service they may have already purchased. Lots of different ways, again, to get relevant information to our users quickly. You can also have this nice announcement function here. So there are a number of different places where we can see announcements. One on the main help center itself, which is really easy to customize as well. All you have to do is click on this and you can start managing the entire help center. So from a maintenance perspective for your admin staff, this is really easy to change and to create new experiences for your users. Let's scroll down and actually get into some of the portals here. So after all of the other collateral above it, we're going to get to really the meat of the help center, which is the user has a need. So we're probably going to be working with a service request to get some help for whatever that use case might be. So each of these tiles are individual projects within JSM. We can have multiple teams working across these multiple projects. You can have teams that are responsible for services that can cross multiple projects or portals. From a user perspective, this is just called a portal. So let's go into one of these and take a look at what this looks like. So now I'm in the actual portal itself, and what I can immediately see are a couple of different things. Number one, the virtual service agent, which is right here. And we can see that this is loading the app. I'm just going to give this a little nudge because I really want to see this appear, and I'm sure it will shortly. There will be a status page piece here. So if you happen to be using status page, which is a really robust communication tool for all kinds of audiences based on your services or maintenance periods, that will show up here. And let's do this one more time. I really want to show it because it's really nice to be able to have that, but we'll move on. Also, there's a virtual service agent here, and I really want to show this too because this has been around for several months now, but I don't think we see enough clients really fully utilizing this. A virtual service agent is comprised of what we call intents and scripts that are conversations that our Atlassian Intelligent Assistant agent can work with to help your user do a number of things. Also to impart information, to help work through filling out a complex request type, and etc. Also getting in touch with an agent. You can also have this virtual service agent in Slack or Teams using native connectors. That's important to know. You get 1,000 free virtual service agent conversations per month with JSM. That's also important to know. And our status update did appear now. So let's say for operations, from our user perspective, maybe there's a critical incident that's affecting a large number of users. We can immediately surface that here with this status page integration. And then when we click on this, this is going to send us to our actual status page where users can then sign up for subscriptions for these different services if they want to be in the know about things. Again, we're talking about radical transparency, disseminating information as quickly and thoroughly and accurately as possible for our user base. So we've looked at the status update, and let's take a look at chatting with a virtual service agent. I have this tab here. We're going to go right into this. So you can see I've actually already started this. I just wanted to test it out, and now I'm going to clear this, and we're going to start all over again. So from a user perspective, I have this box down here, and I'm going to put in the word help. And a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, I'm going to get a response right away. Now we're going to start seeing the different pieces of the intent that I mentioned earlier that you program within the tool. So I'm going to say, yes, I am indeed looking for a report a system issue. And once I put in my answer, I'm going to get more responses from that particular virtual agent intent conversation flow. So this now says, thanks for contacting the operations help desk. And now I'm going to ask my user, do you need to report a system issue? In this case, I'm going to say yes. Now, this is a very simple and basic intent. You can have this be much more granular, much more complex, especially if you're programming several different intents, which you definitely want to take advantage of. You're going to ask different questions at the beginning to make sure that you're making sure that your user is getting to the right form or request or thing that they need quickly, so that it's not obviously just one general intent. So now that I've typed in yes again, I get really the final response for this particular intent, which is, okay, great, please click here. And then I'm going to do my right click and open into a new tab so we can keep this up. Now, when I click on that URL, it's going to give me the exact request type that I was looking for, which happens to be report a system issue. So from an Atlassian intelligence perspective, and this does work with Atlassian intelligence as well, there are some templated virtual agent intents that are out there, but you really want to make these bespoke for your user population because you want them to feel like they're heard and they're seen. And nobody really wants to look through a generic intent. They want something that's specific for the need that they're looking for. Underneath this link, there's also a rate your support experience. So now I can get some information from my user. I'm going to say very good in this case, and JSM will be giving us detailed reports on the conversations, how long they took, other auditable pieces that you can get from that as well, including customer satisfaction, which is incredibly important. And now from here, I can start a new conversation, but from this perspective, my intent has been satisfied. I found the link that I need, and now I can go ahead and start putting in my request. Okay, and let's actually take a look. Let's go back to the Help Center, and I want to go through the service request in the catalog. So in this case, we call it a service desk. All of this text that we see can be completely bespoke to your needs. So this is really just for example purposes here. In terms of a service desk, we want to think of, again, speed and accuracy, but also ease of use. So we really try to make our portals as easy to look at and to monitor and work within as possible. In this case, I'm going to go into the group that's going to show me all of my request types. We can also turn this area off here. These are additional knowledge-based articles, and if we don't want them to be surfaced, we can turn that off. But I'm going to go into here, and we're going to take a look at our portal groups. So this gives us another easy way, a graphical representation of finding what we need as quickly as possible. Instead of, let's say, having just a long list of request types, this is going to help our user navigate to where they need to be. In this case, I'm going to click on Common Requests. And now I see a list of different request types that our users can make. One thing to note also is any user or customer, whether they're internal or external or employee, you do not need a license to get to the portal. You don't need a license to make a request of any kind. You don't even need a license to approve items or to be a request participant, which is another way of saying a watcher, as well as a possible participant within that particular request that's being submitted. Let's go ahead and submit one really quick. Within these different request types, you're going to have a multitude of combinations of custom and system generated fields. In this case, anything with a red asterisk is going to be required. Again, giving your user some immediate information. I think we're all aware that when we see a red asterisk in forms, we really need to put something in there. And we'll get a pop-up saying, hey, there's something wrong. We'll have some red text if I try to hit send here and I haven't put in the value that I needed. So in this case, I'm just going to say new laptop, please. And I'm going to put it, now I'm going to go to my next field here. So we're going to talk about a couple of things related to asset management at the end of this. I also want to point out we can have suggested articles pop up right within the actual request type itself. Again, trying to get as much accurate and relevant information to our user base as possible. And I like as much information as possible when I'm trying to put in a help desk ticket. So I really appreciate this functionality. Now we get to one of our asset fields here. So what we can see is this is a custom field that we create that pulls in different objects from what we call an object schema. So really quick defining assets. Assets are made of 3 items: objects, schemas, the objects themselves. In this case, this model happens to be an object, and then all the attributes that give us information about that specific object. And then all of those object schemas and the various objects can be tied to other schemas, many other schemas, and have inbound and outbound references. So you get so much information. You can ingest that information via a manual CSV upload, via discovery tools. There are several of them, including one that comes right out of the box with JSM. Or you can now use Data Manager to ingest data from all kinds of different places, analyze it, cleanse it, and then allow it to be added to your asset management object schemas. That's going to be part of the sneak peek that we'll take a look at the very end of this webinar. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on supported models. One other thing to note too is you can make this easier for, in terms of consolidating items. Let's say you just want one request type where everyone can request all kinds of hardware from. Instead of supported models in this particular field, you might have a custom field that says type of hardware. And when they choose that type of hardware, then you can have a form that appears. So you would have, let's say if I were to pick this value in that field, these 2 fields would then appear like magic. They would not be able to be viewed prior to me choosing that value. One other thing to mention as well is you can have client separation in terms of the portals. So I can have client and customer groups and organizations so that only X organization can see, let's say, the service request portal, and then organization B can only see the operations. Lots of ways to enforce critical user control when it comes to what they can and cannot view. And that also goes for knowledge base articles as well. So from a service management perspective, information and quick service is what I think everybody is really looking for. You're looking for the accurate information as well, and that's what JSM will help surface. So now that I've clicked on the model that I want, as well as the accessories that I want, we can also see that I can click on additional accessories here as well. You can have all kinds of different fields with different ways of intaking narrative and choices. So here I'm going to go ahead and click on send because everything looks good. I've entered values for everything that's required. And now I want to see what it looks like. So from a user perspective, I've gotten to the portal. I've looked at, let's say, maybe 1 or 2 help desk articles. And now I've submitted my request. I'm all set now. I just want to do a quick review of this. And I can see everything that I had entered into this particular request type. If there are more fields, they will show up in the context section here. And then at the very bottom, we can see a comment area. So I can now communicate directly with the agents that are going to be assigned to this, and then go back and forth with any questions or concerns that I might have. And I can also see that there's going to be an approval required for this. And at the very top here, now I see the status. So this is already in waiting for approval. One thing to note is we can reprogram this so that our user base sees it's something different in terms of the status if we want to have that happen. And then there are some additional options here as well. We can have users be able to turn their notifications on and off. And typically when you submit a request, you're going to get that initial notification. You can also have customized notification schemes as well for different types of requests. So for a laptop example, you would say, okay, we got your request, we're on it, we're going to give you more information about your new laptop request in XYZ. Also, we can do things like cancel the request. We can also reopen it or escalate it if we've surfaced that possibility on this particular request type. And then I can also share this with others as well. We can also automatically link all of these tickets with, let's say, approvers. So in this case, we know that we're going to need an approver. We're going to enforce that approver with automation, as well as other pieces of functionality within JSM. Really, when it comes to the functionality of JSM, you're going to use just about every piece that's there. There's really no bloat or additional features that you purchase that you never get any use out of. Everything really runs together like one large service management machine, which I really appreciate. And so automation can give me the opportunity to share this with others automatically, or the initial submitter, I can go ahead and share this with people if I wanted to as well, like a boss or an organization, etc. And in this case, we can see that it's waiting for approval. So what I actually want to do really quick is show that approval step because it's really nifty. Again, not needing to have a license to get into this is really interesting. So I'm going to add an approver here, which is going to be myself. And this is going to reset itself. And I'm going to do this. And now I can see right here, I just wanted to show the buttons that are here. From an approver standpoint, you don't need a license to get into the back end for this. You can just approve it right from here. You can also decline it. And you can also approve via a Teams or a Slack channel, as well as email too. So now I'm going to go ahead and approve this. And then it's going to give me more comments here saying, okay, we've approved this request, and now the status has been changed, etc. And now if I have questions about, when can I expect this to be shipped to me, all that information I can have, it comments back and forth with the agent population. I can also surface comments automatically. So after something has been approved, we can also put in a comment that says, your request has been approved. Please look for the next 5 business days like we see here. So this is going to impart, again, more information. We can get the customer what they need as soon as possible. From a user perspective, now I'm really kind of done here, but let's say I want to take a look at all of my requests. I'm going to click on my face in the top right corner. Again, I really like the fact that this is not a busy area in terms of all the different choices that are available. It really makes it pretty foolproof in navigating your way around this help desk. In this case, I'm going to click on requests. And now I have a full list of all of the requests that I've ever submitted. And there are a couple of different ways that I can administer this too. I can change the list view here if I want summary to be first, all kinds of things that I can do here. And that's going to save this view just for me particularly. Personally, it's not going to change any views for anyone else. And then I can also filter by statuses and workflows that I have access to. I can also filter for requests that were created by me or where I'm just a participant, and then also by request type. So again, trying to get our users an easy way to find what they need quickly and to see the historical record of everything that we've been working on, where they are currently in the status of the workflow. So from a user perspective, this is meant to be very easy. I get to the portal, I get the information I need, I create the requests that I need, and then I'm all set. And now I can just wait for my laptop to be sent to me. Within the Help Center itself, we can certainly have many different kinds of requests. From an ITIL perspective, which is baked in directly to JSM, really the less is more concept is typically what we go for. We want our users to be able to find what they need quickly without getting frustrated. And I think, as we all know, everyone's attention span it's getting shorter as the days get longer. So we really want to make sure that we get them information as soon as possible. And that should take us through our user experience from the portal from a service management perspective. For now I want to move into what these service requests look like on the back end from an agent perspective. Because not only do we want our users to have an easy time when it comes to asking for help, we also want our agents to have an easy time with moving through these different requests in general. So now we're in the back end here. And one thing I want to point out, we've got a really nice new UI here on the left. The navigation panel has been changed. Really gives a great place to find everything per project, so you don't have to jump around quite as much. In this case, we can see I'm currently in the IT support project. And also one other thing, if you happen to work within Jira software or even Confluence, the top area of this is going to look pretty familiar to you. There's still going to be a For You section, a recent section to see everything that you've worked on or looked at recently, a starred section, and etc. Roadmaps and plans is really more for Jira software, but that's also here too. So you really don't even need to use what I call the waffle very much. You could just go ahead and scroll down to the different areas that you need to get into. Also at the very bottom, there are some other things to note. There's the operations section here. There's also an operations section that's specific to the project itself. And we're going to talk about what operations entails in a minute. Or you can find operations for the entirety of your instance down here as well. Assets, goals, and teams are also here. Goals was a standalone item that's part of Jira software now to help your teams do just that, figure out what the goals are and what the input is in impact for all the work that's required for ideas and goals. So let's talk about service requests when it comes to the agent perspective. There are a couple of things that we can do immediately. We can create subtasks for this. We recommend that we utilize automation rules to create subtasks automatically whenever possible. So let's say for a laptop request, we know that there are going to be 3 different things that we need to accomplish to get this new laptop to that user. In that case, we're going to want to use an automation rule that's going to create subtasks automatically, like confirm access to system and update license for DocuSign, or other subtasks that might be relevant to this. We can have an automation rule that creates these subtasks and assigns them to the correct party right away. When it comes to service requests, we can also have things called playbooks. Playbooks are also going to be part of operations and incident management, which we'll take a look at a little bit. In this case, we don't have a playbook specifically for service requests. They're typically going to be used more so in incident management and change management. When it comes to service requests, we're hoping that for the most part, we know all the work that's going to be entailed to resolve this request. So we're going to use an automation rule to create these subtasks. And hopefully the agent really won't have a lot to do other than paying attention to, let's say, the SLA panel here on the far right. Just making sure that things have been acknowledged, that we're in our right time to resolution, response, and approval field. So in this case, we see 2 of these are already, we're already good for 2 of these. We're in the green, and then we just need to resolve this. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do all of those things, such as resolve this issue, just to see what that SLA panel looks like. I'm going to put in done, and I'm just going to resolve it because I don't have any other red asterisks there. And now when I refresh this, it's going to show my SLA panel. Everything should be checked off and green. And there we go. So we're now resolved. And then I can also close this when needed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So now we're all in the green here. This will refresh itself. What couple of new features other than just playbooks also is a suggestions panel here on the right. So this is going to be populated by AI. And one thing to recommend for all of your agent and admin base while they're utilizing Atlassian Intelligence to really get used to using the thumbs up and thumbs down. That's what's going to train your suggestion panel and really all of your Atlassian Intelligence throughout the different modules of the tool itself. So really get used to that because that will let Atlassian Intelligence know if it's doing a good job or not, and it will then adjust as needed. Moving down also into one of the other features is a similar request panel. So for your agents, we also want to get them as much information as possible and accurate information. So in this case, we can see that there is a number of additional new laptop options here. And so if an agent is curious and maybe there isn't a playbook yet for it, or maybe there is a knowledge base article, but they also want a knowledge base article for your agents, but they also want to see a real world example, this panel is going to surface that for you automatically with no configuration necessary at all. So they can see how other agents have resolved these tickets. If there have been some problems in these tickets, that's going to give them more information. And then scrolling all the way down, again, we still have our activity area here. And from an agent perspective, now I can reply directly to a customer if I have a question, or I can add an internal note for other agents, or let's say even responder teams when it comes to incident management. For service requests are typically going to be the largest number in terms of volume of requests that most of our clients receive other than incidents. Sometimes it can be half and half. Hopefully it's more service requests than incidents. But for JSM, we're really trying to make this as easy on the agents as possible. We have our navigational area on the left, all of our context here in the middle, including playbooks, similar requests, and Atlassian Intelligence to give us more knowledge. And then really everything, all the other pieces Anything that's not really required as a matter of context for the request itself is going to be on the far right. So we can see that as well, including, again, our suggestion panel, and then any additional fields that are required for this. So we can also see sentiment up here for this particular requirement, for this request, who the reporter is, the request type, and everything else that an agent might need to know. Let's talk also about assets here, and then we're going to talk about it again when we talk about incident. So I mentioned previously that all of our assets are going to be in object schemas, but let's say as an agent, I want to know more about this particular model or any of these items that are populated for this. You can also see that this is a software catalog. All 4 of these fields are custom asset management fields. So as an agent, I'm going to click on that little squiggly, and I'm going to see a graph of this particular object. So I can see that this is the model here. This is what it actually is from an attribute standpoint. This happens to be the vendor or manufacturer. This is also its own object in a different schema. But when I click on the object in question, I can see all kinds of interesting excuse me, pieces of information, including things like the cost, any target roles that this is for. So if you're using a couple of different marketplace apps like Element, you can also have your requests and fields set up so that only certain models or certain applications surface for the actual user that's looking for it or looking through that catalog. So that's a really nice feature that you can utilize with an additional enhancement from the marketplace. But within the attributes, I can have all kinds of things like screen size, CPU, RAM, etc. I really like the target roles piece, but I also really like these few down here. The restock level, this is a really interesting field because now I can start utilizing automation rules to take a look at my stock levels on an ongoing basis. Let's say every other day, every week, I want to check for how many pieces of this particular model laptop I have. Also within that same automation rule, I can do a sweep for all of my stock levels. And if it's below a certain threshold, I can immediately create a new ticket for, let's say, the procurement team or suppliers or whoever it might be, letting them know, hey, our stock is low, please order more. We can even do the ordering part automatically as well once that initial parent ticket is approved. So we can have an automation rule that takes a look at our stock levels or the cost levels. Maybe we want to have a robo agent be proactive about the costs and say, hey, I want to take a look at the main cost levels for all of my different endpoints. And then I want you to help me see if there are other options that are less expensive that have the same satisfaction guarantee. Or we can have a robo agent, again, take a look at all of our stock levels, take a look at also any models that are giving us problems on a frequent basis. So let's say if this particular MacBook Pro or MacBook model was giving us a lot of issues, a robo agent can surface all of those and help us to make a decision on a different type of laptop in the future. So a lot of proactive lifecycle management can happen within asset management related to service requests and really related to incidents and change management as well. I think that takes us through our service management piece today for the most part. Just going to get out of this. And yeah, also just to know, you can have lots of different queues for all of your different service management modules, from service requests to incidents, problems, and changes as well. And I'm going to get out of that. Also, one other thing to note is you can link all of these tasks together. So we can see down here that there is an additional item here. There's a laptop request that's blocked because there's a problem with that person's account. So Sam had already raised a request for a new laptop, but if they're having a problem with the account, then they're not going to be able to get into that new laptop. So we want to make sure that we resolve this before we work on this as well, or vice versa. But we can have all of that information surfaced in just one of these particular request types. Okay, let's move on to incident and operations in teams management. So within Atlassian, there's the concept of teams. One thing to know is there is a native integrator with Active Directory, if you happen to be using that can ingest all of your people on your responder teams as actual teams without having to manually create those teams. So if you have all of your folks in AD as groups, then we can use the native connector now and connect it to AD and then bring in all of those groups as teams into the incident management area, into the operations area for JSM. I want to show what that looks like here. From a teams perspective, this is going to give me the list of all of them. And if I want to find my teams, all I have to do is scroll all the way down on the left. I can also customize this so it's in a different place, but I click on teams and then it's going to pop up this screen for me. Now I can see the entirety of all of my teams that are currently in this particular JSM instance. And if I click on one of them, it's going to give me another tab, which we're going to look at right here, called, let's say, the front end wizards. So this team, we can put all kinds of links in here. Harking back to assets, we are going to link teams with different services that could be an object in object schemas. For an example, let's say there's a service catalog. And I'm going to go into that in just a second. But down here, there are a couple of things that we can see too, like software components. So this would be an object in an object schema. And once we link these teams to those different services and pieces of functionality, then anytime an alert or an incident happens, that team is going to be notified right away. So now that I have the front page for this particular team, we can, again, have all kinds of things here like team activity, any work items that are currently assigned to the teams. I can add a robo agent here as well to help me automate some of these actions. I can look at my operation schedules from here, and even additional things like this is from our goals area here. Who's contributing to what? Also, Compass can be integrated with this as well. But now I just want to go to my actual operations section. So I'm going to click on operation. And this is, again, going to be utilized for every project that has any incident management in it. Most of our projects are going to have some kind of an incident response or request functionality. In this case, for the front end wizards, now I can see all kinds of things like my on-call schedule down here. I can also do things like add an override or take that on-call schedule if I want to. I can also do this in the mobile app if I would like to. And then I can also take a look at my different integrations. So operations works as the front end for teams, as well as all of the alerting that comes in prior to an incident getting actually created. So the way this flow works is we ingest our teams, we create our integrations with our alerting pieces, and I want to show that right now. Once we create those alerts, then we can also create automation that can create incidents from those alerts, either manually doing a manually triggered automation rule or just automatic triage as well, utilizing AI. That can also happen too. But when it comes to our integrations, it's so easy to create these. So instead of, let's say, using other tools that are outside that have an additional licensing cost, now you can just use operations that's baked directly into JSM. And I just wanted to show this screen because there are so many different kinds of areas that we can get alerting from, including one that's really popular, which is Datadog. And I'm looking for, and there it is. So I'm going to click on Datadog. I'm just going to put in new here so we can get to it. I can also see, actually, I'm going to do new one. I can also assign this particular alert to a team right away. And I'm going to click on create. And now I want to show this piece. When you're setting up operations within JSM, it's really easy to configure these connections for your alerting. It's going to give you every single step that you need here. And even within this same UI here, you can now start creating your rules for processing these alerts, who gets notified, when to close it, the acknowledgement. All of this is really in just this one screen here. You can even have outgoing rules that go back to Datadog, and then create Datadog tickets for specific Jira Service Management alerts. So much functionality, and you're really going to end up using all of it for all of these alerts for the most part. So now I'm just going to close this because we don't need it here. I'm going to go back. One other really interesting feature when it comes to operations and trying to be proactive, and not trying, but being proactive, is heartbeat. When it comes to a heartbeat, what a heartbeat is, it's a ping from services that tells you everything is working well, everything is working fine. You can set up these pings on a 5-minute basis, an hour, every 2 hours, every day. And what these heartbeats serve and these pings serve to do is to let you know that everything is running smoothly. Now, let's say you turn on pings every 10 minutes and you missed the last 3 pings. At that point, you know, there might be something going on with maybe not the entire service, but possibly a piece of that service. So what you're going to want to do is immediately create a ticket and then say, hey, we need our responder teams to go check out the service and see if there's anything wonky going on, so that possibly we can head off something before it becomes a critical shutdown or critical incident across your business. I really like this feature. It's also easy to create them as well. You can also turn on auto heartbeats once your integrations are completed. And I believe you can have heartbeats for different pieces of your services as well. So it's not just one large heartbeat, but you can have individualized ones as well. And again, assigning the team to this is going to be crucial because of just the way Teams works within Atlassian. Everything is built around the concept of teams for JSM, especially in relation to incident management. Also, you can put in different policies and maintenance pieces here. You can also, in the administration of this, create specific roles for operation, who can get role-based notifications and much, much more. Also within operations, if you don't happen to have an enterprise tier, you can still get use of Atlassian Analytics, which is Atlassian's really slick new reporting module in the enterprise tier products. You can get all kinds of things for free still and save these and then have them for use going forward. So like on-call, how much on-call per user, on-call time analytics, user productivity analytics, all of these are really important, like MTTA and MTTR. These are things that most of our clients ask for on a regular basis. But now that we have our team set up, let's say we've got our operations set up, we have our response teams for this particular project or others, and we have all of our on-call and escalation and routing rules set up. Now we have this foundation to ingest alerts and then start creating and responding to incidents. So let's take a look at an incident here. So again, the context area is going to look pretty much the same across all different kinds of tickets within JSM. But there's a couple of things that we can see here that are different. So immediately we can see three things that are new, including add a PIR, which is a post-incident review. We can also use an automation rule to force a PIR to be created for every incident that comes in. And we can have it so that that PIR has its own status within this workflow. And until that PIR is completed, you can't actually resolve that ticket. That will really force the teams to put in narrative and do its due diligence in figuring out exactly what happened, possibly even before creating a problem ticket that can then do root cause analysis and possibly fix that permanently. One other thing is the major incident piece up here. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but there's also an investigate button here. So if I click on this, then there's some things that are going to happen. I can investigate exactly what's going on for this. If there happens to be a deployment that's linked to this. So let's say there's a change that's currently happening or a deployment of a new feature or code. This is going to tell me if there's something that is related to this, so I can immediately jump on that. And I can also do things like add a potential cause if I wanted to. Now let's talk about the major incident piece to this. For business critical P1, sometimes a P2, really truly critical service related incidents, we want our major incident team to get on this immediately. So previously there are in the on-call section, these escalation policies where we see that when an incident comes in, it's going to be a notification is going to go out to all of the users that are currently on call. After 5 minutes, it goes to the next user and so on and so forth. When it comes to a major incident, we want all of our resources to be on this immediately. So it goes, instead of going through that typical escalation rule, this little button, either if you got it manually or automatically, because you can use an automation rule for P1 to make sure that these are all considered major incidents, this is going to get a notification out immediately to that major incident team so they can start swarming on this. And then you can also create a Slack channel immediately. You can also create a Teams channel or a meeting, as well as you can connect that Zoom account so your responder teams can all start to swarm this immediately. And also for the suggestions panel, there's going to be additional pieces here. I'm going to dismiss that piece, but this is going to give me more information on what maybe people have done for previous major incidents that are related to this service. All kinds of things are going to show up in this suggestion panel. But again, from the agent perspective, I want to know exactly what I have to do and when I have to do it. If I don't have a knowledge base article that's specific to this either service or incident, I can also then use a playbook for this. And now we're going to see an example of one. So each of these playbooks for incident management, and really for all of the playbooks, are going to give me a series of steps. They could be instructional or narrative steps. We can put in URLs here. Or we can have actual automation rules that we can run directly from this UI without ever having to actually go into automation to find it. So really, really would love to talk to you as a client if you're interested in knowing more about these playbooks and how to integrate them, how to create them. And then it will give you also the execution log to see if you've done anything within this playbook. If you've utilized it, you can mark things as done, and then it's going to put that in that execution log and tell who did it and the date and time. So you can really keep track of all the different activities that your agents are using to resolve these incidents, whether they're major or not. So really great feature of the playbooks. Highly recommend that you start utilizing that if you already have JSM. And if you're interested in learning more, please let us know and we'd be happy to schedule a call. Also, some things to note here, there's also any changes that are listed here for these incidents, because if there is a change going on for this service, maybe that's the cause of that particular incident. So we're trying to surface as much information as possible for your responder teams and your agents to be able to resolve this quickly. Also, there's another related resource panel here, which again is going to give you a list of any similar incidents. So when you're in these team channels, you're talking to your responders, you can easily see that, oh, there's two things going on here. Okay. And also, when these happen, then your agents can go right to the portal and say, put an announcement in saying there is currently a patch that we're working on, or we know that there is a known issue with X service. So we'll be getting to that as soon as we can. So for JSM, incident works utilizing teams, utilizing operations, and all of those features from the alerting integrations that we have that create these incidents that get our teams together so we can resolve them quickly. Really, there is no feature functionality that I can see that's missing from this. It is quite robust. And I will say also, Atlassian is just putting so much development into all of these features, even though I'm really happy with all of them as they are. There are many more features coming down the road as well. My demonstrations for clients on JSM typically used to take about an hour, and now they take a full 90 minutes because that's how much development and investment Atlassian is putting both in the tool set itself and also our customers as well. Okay, let's get out of this and take a really quick look at assets from the perspective of what it looks like in the tool. I had mentioned object schemas previously, and this is what they look like from a demo perspective. I'm going to click on the IT employee assets, and it's going to bring me right to here. So luckily I have my large monitor so we can see everything here. A couple of things we can see: a data manager is in beta. This is actually an open beta now. It should be available if you do have JSM. We're going to talk about that in about 2 minutes. But in this case, I want to minimize that so we can see what the full picture looks like here. So this is our schema tree. We can see under hardware, we have a list of 3 different areas. These are all objects, every item we see here from the top to the bottom. These are the individualized items that are monitored and tracked within this schema. So these are the laptops that are currently owned. And we can see that there is a number of items here, including who owns this, the warranty expiration, the purchase date, the cost, serial number, etc. If we scroll down, we can get back to our supported laptop area. These are the models that we saw previously. In this case, I think we were taking a look at the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and that's what's available in that custom field that we created, which, by the way, takes a very short amount of time to create. So in this one object schema, I have both the models that are available for phones, mouse, etc. And then I also have the actual laptop. And one important piece to note here is the references that I had made that I spoke about previously. So this laptop is going to be connected to a person. We definitely want to have our people in part of the schema so that we can connect all of these endpoints, applications, and pieces of functionality to, as well as teams. But if I click on this object graph here, this is going to show me again all of these outbound references to the model, the person that owns it, to the location that it's in. And we can have several additional attributes as well. One other really nice feature about this is we can have bulk actions here, so I can edit these all at the same time, print QR codes, etc. And then I can also do searches. Now I want to keep your eye on the advanced AQL because we're going to take a look at that in just a second. But let's say I want to take a look at certain models here. So I'm going to click on these 2. I'm going to update the filter. I'm going to go back to the filter and go back to this. So now I've already got my filter and I can see what I've requested. But let's say I'm creating an automation rule where I want to do either a bulk lookup or edit of these particular objects. I click on the advanced AQL. I'm going to need a phrase for that in my automation rule. And that's all I need. I don't even have to learn AQL to utilize this within my automation rules. I just copy and paste and I'm done and I'm good to go. That's a really nice feature that's part of the asset management here. And also, if I wanted to see the different attributes or add more, it's really easy. I just click on my attributes, scroll all the way down, and now I can start creating my bespoke attributes for this particular object class. Okay, we have just a couple of minutes, so I actually do want to do this sneak peek here really quick. This is what we're going to be taking a look at in our next webinar, and that is how the data manager works and what it means. So a data manager is going to help us do a number of things, but this is really the best blurb that I can think of. Atlassian is great when it comes to describing their products. So we're going to be able to bring in your company's data from a number of different sources. We're going to be able to cleanse that data, normalize it, analyze it, and then reconcile it right into data manager objects into asset management. So this is a feature that is now in open beta. You can play with it, but we'll be taking a look at this in our next webinar in depth because it's a really nice feature within asset management. And that takes us to the end of our webinar today. I'm now going to take a look at some of the questions. It looks like we did have 3 here. Hi, Diana. Hi, Jane. And again, hi to Jonathan. And let's go through the QA. So for the knowledge base, can we pull data from 2 confluences? Mine is a client installation. So yes and no. Can we directly bring in that knowledge base article? No. You could, however, have the URL in a knowledge base article itself. So you could have a knowledge base article that comes up saying, for the information that you're looking for, click on this URL, and then it could take it to that particular knowledge base article. I don't believe there's a way to ingest multiple instances of Confluence into one JSM knowledge base, but I'll check. And if I find something different, then I'll come back to the webinar link and put a comment in with the answer. Also, please feel free to leave your email address. Nobody else can see it. And then I could send you an email with the answer as well. There might be a marketplace app that can do that, but from now out of the box, I don't believe you can link more than I don't think you can link spaces from more than one Confluence to the knowledge base, but that's a great question, and I'll take a look. Also, another question from Jonathan. For Teams, you mentioned that you can leverage AD, but can you use Google? That's a good question. I don't know if there's a native connector in there yet. I know that you can connect Google to it. I think there actually might be one that's either brand new or it's coming. So I will definitely check on that. And also, again, if you wouldn't mind throwing your email address in here, then we can get back to you on that as well. The last question from Jonathan is, for Incident, is there any plan to integrate with Google Chat Meet instead of Slack and MS Teams? I believe you can do that. I think you just need a marketplace app to do it. So I would go to the marketplace from Atlassian and then search for Google and see what different marketplace apps come up. Although we do have 4 minutes. So let me just quickly check while I'm on here with you guys. I think there isn't an integration for it, but it's still a paid one right now, as opposed to Slack and Teams. So let's take a look here. Google, see Google for JSM. Let's see. So there are several different Google connectors. I'm looking for, there's a calendar, there's a Google Forms, Google Chat for Jira. So that's for Jira though. I think that might also work for JSM as well. So I think that Google Chat for Jira might be the answer, but I'm going to keep looking. And again, if I find a better example, then I'll put it as a comment in the webinar link going forward. But I think you can. I just think it's a paid marketplace app. And the last question here from Jane. Okay, can you route tickets based on skill set for agents? Yes, definitely. You would have your agents set up as people and objects, and you could have an automation rule search the skill level within the attributes, and then automate and then assign based on who does have that skill set. I know that there are a number of different ways to do that, but I'm pretty sure it would work hand in hand with asset management. So you would want to have an object schema that has all of your agents, and then you would have either one or a number of attributes that have a number of skill sets in them or skill traits. And then you could have automation that looks for that and then assigns based on agents who also have capacity. You can also have that scored as well. So there's a number of different ways to do that, but yes. And I think there's another question. Where can I access this and other webinars? That's going to be in our YouTube channel. And I believe in the chat, there is a link to that as well. So please feel free to take a look at our YouTube channel whenever you like. And there is quite a few, quite a bunch more videos to check out there as well. And Jonathan, thank you so much for your email. I really appreciate it. I will do some research for you and see what I can find from a Google perspective and the other questions that you had asked too. And I think that takes care of all of the questions currently. Yes, it does. I think this takes us to the end of our webinar. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns or need help with professional services, give us a call. I'll be happy to talk. Have a great day and a great rest of your week, everyone. Appreciate it. Take care.